Now at 11, shots fired at a crowded bar in Northwest Portland leaves one person dead, prompting leaders to get gun violence under control. How a new Senate bill could help curb the rise in shootings. Plus, Pfizer steps up approval for a booster to its COVID vaccine. But what does that mean if you got a J&J or Moderna shot? We verify the latest on COVID vaccine boosters. And later,
people need to be held accountable and need to realize that this is going to affect a lot of people's futures.
Portland's youth take a stand on climate change to march for a better future. First at 11, fighting back against gun violence. In a matter of hours, a new gun law goes into effect that Oregon lawmakers hope will help quell the violence. Good evening, I'm Laurel Porter. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. The new law hits the books as Portland police investigate yet another deadly shooting, this time along busy Northwest 21st Avenue. KGW's Mike Benner has more.
Silver Dollar Pizza on Northwest 21st, the scene of one of the latest shootings in Portland. One person was killed by the gunfire overnight, 2 were injured, and as you can imagine, countless others in nearby bars were terrified.
All we heard was bang, 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 and you just see the whole place just duck down.
You were like ducking under the tables in the bar?
Yeah.
That's incredibly scary.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
With more than 3 months to go in 2021, there have already been more than 920 shootings in the Rose City. That's up from 388 in 2019. The dramatic uptick has not gone unnoticed.
My heart breaks and bleeds for the people of Portland. Portland is a great city, but we got to get a handle on this.
Oregon State Senator James Manning Jr. is one of the chief sponsors of Senate Bill 554. The bill that goes into effect Saturday allows places like the state capitol, airports, schools, and universities to prohibit firearms in buildings. And in an effort to avoid unintentional shootings, the bill also calls for guns to be securely stored and locked when not in use.
It breaks my heart to know that how many lives, innocent lives, we lost and continue to lose.
Senator Manning knows this bill won't necessarily solve the gun violence plaguing Portland, but he believes it's a step in the right direction.
It's about accountability, and hopefully we will get to a place where we don't have all of this gun violence and innocent people being killed. We got a lot of work to do, and we got a long ways to do.
The hope is that the work doesn't take too long. At least that's the hope for people living near Silver Dollar Pizza on Northwest 21st, a neighborhood that now understands all too well the devastating effects of gun violence.
It's finally encroaching the violence up here, and never would think that.
Back to Senate Bill 554 again. A reminder that it goes into effect Saturday. If you take a gun into a building that's now allowed to prohibit them, you could face up to a year in prison. And if you own a gun and it's not locked or secured and gets into the wrong hands, you can receive a fine of anywhere between $500 and $2,000. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
An overnight fire destroyed a warehouse in southeast Portland at 9th and Alder. It took 4 alarms and about 80 to 90 firefighters to get it under control. You may have noticed all the smoke, which was visible throughout the day today. The warehouse collapsed from the flames, but luckily the building is empty and has been abandoned for several years. No injuries have been reported. There have been issues with fires at this building before.
This is a large abandoned warehouse type building. We're very familiar with the building. We've been here before. We've had other fires in the building. When crews got here, they had heavy fire showing on the east side of the building. And because it's an unsafe and dangerous building, they could not go in and make an interior attack. So we had to start attacking the fire from the exterior.
Investigators are still trying to figure out what started the fire. A Newburgh school staff member who wore blackface to protest the vaccine mandate has reportedly been fired. According to the Newburgh Graphic, the staff member attempted to dress like Rosa Parks to protest Oregon's vaccine mandate for K-12 teachers and staff members. They worked at Mabel Rush Elementary as a teacher's aide for special education students and was placed on administrative leave last week before being fired today. The district said it couldn't confirm the firing, but comes as the district faces several controversies that include several students who created a slave trade group chat and a ban on political signs and flags in classrooms. New at 11, 2 individuals at Grant High School have tested positive for COVID. The school said in a release that only those who have been in contact with those individuals will be quarantined. Everyone else will be able to do on-site activities and classes. This comes as Lewis and Clark Elementary in St. Helens is being forced to switch to remote learning again due to suspected COVID cases. The school sent a letter to parents saying in-person learning is on hold starting Monday. It's because many students are sick with what may be COVID. The school says it's waiting on lab results to confirm that. In the meantime, kids are heading home and the school will be sanitized. Now let's get you caught up on your other top headlines tonight. A police officer who fatally shot a man in April at Lents Park will not be charged with a criminal offense. According to the district attorney's office, Robert Delgado pointed a replica handgun at police. Officers believed it was real and fired. Officers first responded when they got calls about a man waving a gun in the park. Delgado's family believed he was having a mental health crisis and don't believe the situation was handled properly. The California company Pacific Gas and Electric is now facing criminal charges over a deadly wildfire in California last year. 4 people died and more than 56,000 acres were burned in the Zogg Fire near Redding in the northern part of California. CAL FIRE determined a pine tree that fell onto PG&E power lines sparked that fire. It now faces 31 charges, including manslaughter. The CDC director is adding another group of people to be recommended for Pfizer's COVID booster shot, and that's people who have a job that has a high risk of virus exposure. Yesterday, a CDC panel also recommended boosters for people 65 and older, nursing home residents, and younger people with underlying health issues. A booster is recommended 6 months after receiving the second dose of Pfizer's COVID vaccine. The booster talk this week only covers the Pfizer vaccine because the company stepped forward and asked for approval. But what about people who got the Moderna or Johnson & Johnson vaccine? Can they get a booster? Matt Gregory verifies.
The dominance of the Delta variant across the country, combined with fears of waning immunity from the vaccines, has got a lot of people looking into and talking about booster doses. So let's verify. Does it matter which vaccine you got when it comes to getting a booster? Our sources are 2 vaccines experts, Dr. William Moss from Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Matthew Freeman from the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and the Food and Drug Administration. And all of our sources say, yes, it does matter.
So the only FDA-approved booster could be from Pfizer. None of the other vaccines can be approved by the FDA for boosters.
Those pharmaceutical companies have not submitted, the data because they're still collecting it on whether or not an additional dose is needed.
Regarding the Pfizer booster shots, an FDA panel did make a recommendation about boosters, but it wasn't universal.
Their recommendation is that these additional doses be considered for individuals older than 65 years of age and individuals either at high risk of disease or high risk for exposure.
If you're wondering why the FDA panel wouldn't recommend boosters for all, both of our experts say the latest data shows the current vaccines still perform well.
The protective effectiveness of the vaccine against hospitalization and death still was above 90%.
Almost no one is going to the hospital who's been vaccinated and then infected.
So yes, in the case of boosters, it will matter which vaccine you originally received. But the data so far shows the vaccines still perform remarkably well despite the Delta variant.